Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DevRel show. It's episode 14 now. And I know, you may feel like it's too many DevRel show for one week. There's two episodes this week, but it is not the case. It's never too much of DevRel show. It's just because the last episode was supposed to be a week and a half ago, but I was sick. So I had to postpone it to Monday. And now we are back on the show for a second episode. And even before jumping into the show, we already have someone online, which, like, please, God, I'm so bad with name. That's a problem in my life.
Uh,
Uh, in the
Rizal,
last, sorry.
Rizal.
Rizal, thank you. Oh, thanks. I appreciate you so much. I hate that. I'm so bad with name. It's pathetic. I'm giving a meditation course that is on 10 weeks. In the last session, so I was meeting people every week. I had like only 25 students, and I think at the end of that session, after 10 weeks, I known the people only for like maybe 5 people out of 25, and it's just like people that I known before. So I have a pretty good memory for a lot of things, but with names, it's terrible, terrible. And seriously, it unrelated to your name. It's really just like me being so bad with name and not remembering me. But like I know who you are when I see your face coming on. I know who you are. So yeah. Awesome. So, welcome to the show. Always excited to do that. Obviously, I'm not the only one on the show. The show would be boring as fuck if it was only me. I have an amazing guest today. I have Tobiloba. Toby, how is life?
Yeah. I am. Yeah. Pushing it, doing stuff here and there, and trying to, of course, live one day at a time, and getting stuff out there. So excited to be here today, and I know we've actually like planned this like, I think it's been like I think it was last year we scheduled this, so it's been like a very long time. Yeah, that we actually have planned this. Yeah.
I know. And you know what? First, thanks for doing that. And I think you're totally right. One day at a time is the way to go. It's just, it's life. There's so many things happening. But yeah, I need to be really honest with people who contact me about being guest on the show. It was a little more successful than I thought. Like, there's more people that want to be on the show than I thought. So I'm usually booked with guests a couple of months in advance. So usually when people contact me, I'm like, hey, okay, let's schedule the show. Put your name in the list of like available dates. But I think now it's going to June or July or maybe even August before I have opportunities. But with that said, please continue to let me know if you want to be on the show, if you want to be on a guest. I plan to continue that every other week, meaning that I need like I don't even know how to count. It's a rough day for me, but I need at least like 26 or maybe a little less, like 23 guests per year because I don't do them during Christmas and like maybe there's vacation in between. Still, that's a lot of people to have in the show. So even if I'm booked in advance, please let me know. But on that note, I'm not here to talk much about me. I want to learn more about it. Can I call you Toby? I think you told me it
Yes.
was okay
Yeah.
because we talked before, but I did not remember. We never met in person, but we had a coffee chat. I think a
Yeah.
while, yeah, as you said, like a couple months ago. Real nice person. So again, super happy to have you on the show. Please, let me know who are you. Actually, let the people that are listening right now tell them who you are. Who are you, Toby?
Yeah, thank you very much, Fred. Like I said, excited to be here today. So, yeah, hello everyone. I'm Tobiloba, and I'm a software engineer, a computer science student, at the University of Lagos, currently my third year, and I work as a software engineer at Million.js, at the moment. So, yeah, that's I think that feel like that sums up like my introduction. I got into tech way back in 2022. When I mean I did computer science, but like I didn't actually see the point of what we're doing in class because it was very boring. So I decided and I saw my friends actually doing things like front end, back end, and they were writing JavaScript and HTML and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll be this looks really interesting, and how can I join you guys on this? So yeah, that curious moments kind of like led to the journey of them finding a boot camp and down to today doing open source and everything. So yeah, that was yeah, I think that's an introduction.
That is great. That is gonna, and you know what? I find it interesting that you were like, hey, what I was doing was a little bit boring, and I was seeing my friends like creating stuff. Like that is the cool thing with software development is that like there's plenty of other jobs where you create things, but like I still remember, and I did not even start to talk about my experience. I already have goosebumps, but I remember the first time that I wrote something. I think it was in the C++ in my first software development class. I don't do C++. It was just like because it was in the course. I'm not
Oh,
a C++ developer, but I remember it was just a hello world. Like I
uh,
just put like a print lf, if I remember, hello world. It was on
oh,
turbo C++ that you may not even know because I'm really old. And that like I run the application. I
yeah,
think it took forever just to compile like one line or two lines of code, and that display on the screen. And I was like, shit, like I've done that. Like I displayed I created an application that displayed hello world on the screen. And I was like, that's stupid. Like that's basic stuff. But I was like, I have goosebumps talking about it. I was like, that's amazing. I am able to create software application that like at that time was not useful at all. But like in the end, like
mhm,
I have the knowledge and the possibility to create
yeah,
things that hopefully help people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so people maybe wonder, like, if you've seen the announcement, you've seen that Toby is a support engineer and like it's the DevRel show. So what he's doing here first, you know what? I love everybody. You work on tech, you don't work on tech, you are a software developer, you're a developer advocate. I just like you. I like people. But with that said, when we first talked about having you in the show, you were a developer advocate,
Yeah.
focusing on Million or Million.js. I'm not sure how to call that library. I don't use it, but can you tell me a little bit about your experience as a developer advocate?
Oh yeah. So with Million, it was mostly I mean Million before it became a company that it is today. Million started off as an open source project. I wasn't there when it started, and it was mostly aiding by props to him. I started way back in 2021. I joined Million in 2023 when I got I saw the project and I got fascinated by what it was, and I kind of joined the Discord then, from like looking around and saying, okay, what's here, what's that, and then I eventually saw people in the Discord, and I saw folks hanging out there. I was like, we're a very small server, and if people are supporting this really amazing project, so I checked and I saw Eden was the owner. I back then I kind of like organized a coffee chat with him. We had a coffee chat like like the one you and I had. So we kind of like discussed. I was like, okay, let's talk about your tech and the process of developing it, and how did that happen and how did that come about? Because I tested it then and I remembered that it was like, oh, this is really amazing, and I was like, okay, I needed to meet who made this. So we had a conversation, a very decent conversation, and then he talked to me about needing community help and some like assistance with like pushing the project and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. This seems like my expertise that like I can help out in this space and volunteer to help out. So I joined the project, mostly doing DevRel stuff and developer advocacy stuff and community management. So and I also did help maintain the website as well. So and documentation. It's a lot of things mostly because it was a very small team. So we had to like kind of find a way to make those responsibilities still properly distributed. So yeah, I helped out on Million. The DevRel thing was mostly voluntary, and me coming on to help out a project that I was really fascinated by and I saw potential in. So yeah, that's mostly the DevRel part. And transitioning to support engineering, Million became a company, and things change and software moved around. So we had a conversation, and most of the things that I did were a lot of things in the south in the community, and one of them was support for people as well because people were using the technology and in the applications. I would be there in the server or on GitHub, helping them debug issues and assisting them. I used to do that way back before, Million became a company and stuff. So when it transitioned, they saw we decided that um I should like take on a support engineering role, and yeah, that's why I currently work as a Million. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sorry, So I'm feeling way better, but I'm still coughing. So sorry, folks, if once in a while I mute, I say sorry, and you look at me like I'm not dying. It's just like the end of that like stupid flu plus sinus infection that I got. Anyway, yeah, you said a couple of things that are super interesting. Like first, it started with like your like if I understood correctly, with your involvement and like as a volunteer and
Yeah,
like around an open source project. So I think it show the benefit and values of open source project like that gave you the opportunity to contribute even if you were not an employee, which some
yeah,
people may see as like kind of like cheap labor, but at the same time you did something that we're passionate about and that opened you to the opportunity to meet those people, to have a coffee chat, to talk with them, to help them, and to land like a paid job at the end. So that's kind of amazing. It's I often do coffee chats with people that are starting in tech, and I say like
mm,
I know it sounds bad, but like if there is a way for you to contribute to open source in addition to like studying and learning,
yeah,
you can see a lot of benefit there because that wouldn't have been possible to go through your journey if Million was not open source because like you
yeah.
wouldn't have no way for you to really
Yeah,
contribute.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I agree with the yeah with all the things you said. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting too because my journey from in my case I was a software developer, a professional software developer, but I
Yeah,
was doing things that developer advocates does on a
yeah,
day-to-day basis, but I was doing this on my free time because I was just excited about speaking at conferences and like helping in the community and organizing meetups. And this is how like the first company that hired me as a developer advocate, they saw what I was doing, and they were like, "Hey, like you have potential to do that. Would you like to be paid to do that?" So I find it
mm,
interesting that like you have a little bit like the same journey as me.
thank
So
you.
yeah, so congratulations on the job. So now
Thank
you are, if I'm not wrong, you said you're a support engineer.
yeah, support engineer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So that you know everything you were talking before about developer advocacy, developer relation, it's just like it's a fraction of what a developer advocate does. Like I was talking with my previous guest,
Yeah,
and I will screw up his name, Baruch, and we
okay.
were telling like it's so many jobs into one that like
Yeah,
it's an interesting and exciting job, but at the same time it can be tiring. So
yeah.
how
Uh,
do you feel about moving for a developer advocate role to, or actually like volunteering as a developer advocate to a support engineering role? Like how long has it been now?
okay. I've been on Million for like about a year now. Yeah, it's been a year and a couple of weeks that I've been on Million. That I've been a part of the Million team now, and yeah, for me like transitioning from the DevRel role I was volunteering for to support full time. I mean part time. It kind of felt it didn't really feel like a huge transition because I was already doing support for roles
Yeah.
and I was already like fulfilling some of those responsibilities. So it kind of felt like okay, I'm just focusing on a section of the many things that I used to do. So that is how the transition kind of felt like, and it didn't really needed somebody to the software engineering role. And I knew the products very well. We have two products, the Million Optimizer and which is the open source one, and Million Link. So I kind of like I'm very I'm very well like versed in those products and know how to like set up and everything. So that it just felt like something that okay, yeah, you already know how to do this, so you should probably pick this up and let's talk about it. Let's discuss this because at the moment the team it's a very small team. It's a startup and still growing. So the role for the would I say the department for like DevRel and Dev advocacy is something that is kind of important at the moment. So support just felt like something that okay,
Mhm.
this is more important. Let's get this out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And as much as like I'm doing developer relation for I don't know now, it's probably 12, 13 years now. I lost the count. And as much as I firmly believe in the impact of the developer relation and the value and the return on investment, sometimes depending where the company is, like at what stage, there are other things that may
Yeah.
be a bigger priority. So when you have limited resources, when you have like limited amount of money to do what needs to be done to be successful, it sometimes mean that I lost my job two, three times because like the company were like, hey, right now what we need for different reasons. It's like a sales team or XYZ, and like we need to let DevRel go because we cannot have both at the stage we're right now. So it sucks, but it's a reality. But in your case, that was not a bad thing because now you were able to get a job. And I have a question about that. So you said you're in Lagos.
Yeah, I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so one of the things, and you don't have to answer, but like what I've seen, actually, is Million.js, where is based Million?
Oh,
Where's
Million is based in I think SF now because the team
okay?
stays at now in California. Yeah.
And so how does it work with you being like in a different time zone and
Oh,
like maybe most of the team being in San Francisco?
oh yeah. So we mostly like interact virtually. So there's like the team consists of people from different parts of from different places and different time zones. So we mostly work async, and we manage communication from like Discord and interactions and everything. So that's the way it mostly works. So the core team is at SF, and like I said, everything is mostly async. In my time zone, like I'm already used to it. So for
Okay.
their own morning there over there, it's like my own night time. It's kind of like my own active period. So and I was already doing that for like a very long time. So it just like it's like time when I get active. So when I need to like attend to stuff, I attend to them. I drop my updates, and then I just since it's async, we don't sync a lot for unless it's very necessary. So yeah, it just makes it convenient.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I was asking a little bit. I don't know. I was going to say selfishly. It's not the case, but I've worked with people in Nigeria before, and you're
Oh,
just a bunch of like brilliant people. And one of the things that I hate is that a lot of US based company doesn't want to hire people in
mm,
Nigeria or people in India
yeah.
because like the time zone is different or stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I just wanted you to share your story because I was like, hey, good job, Million. Like you find resources. I don't like to call people resources. I think I'm becoming corporate, but like you find someone, a talent that's going to help you to be successful. You find the right fit for that role, and you did
Mhm.
not care where that person lived.
Yeah.
So I think most companies should follow what Million is doing because I remember what previous company when I hired a technical writer, she
Mhm.
was actually in Lagos. Actually, I don't remember if it was specifically Lagos. She was in Nigeria,
Yeah,
and
okay.
she was just like the most amazing candidate that applied to the role, and she was really good at what she was doing. And it was like, you know
Wow.
what? As long as we have like 2-3 hours that we
Yeah.
can connect during the day if we need to. If you do the
That's
job, I do not care where you live. So just wanted to highlight that for like if there's like potential employers listening
yeah.
to you
Yeah.
have amazing people around the world. Try not to care too much about where they live because most of the roles in text, we don't
Mhm.
need to be live. We don't need to be in front of customers. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
just wanted to. It's why I asked you that question. I just wanted to like share
Oh,
your
yeah.
experience. It just showed that like, hey, like everybody can hire people from everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people here work for they work for companies abroad too. So, but it's just kind of like you said, it's not really straightforward. But I know a
Mhm.
lot of people here work for people like they work for GitHub, some work for Microsoft, some work for Meta,
Yeah.
from here in Nigeria. So there are so many of those cases, and I mean like you said, Nigerians are very brilliant people. So it's not a it's just about in my opinion, it's just about adapting to the team you work with, and as long as
Yeah.
you guys are good, yeah, I mean, it's cool, yeah, it's just
Yeah, and
agreement.
and I have very strong opinions about like async communication and like in office and you can throw tomatoes at me or disagree with me, but I feel like if people are not able to communicate mostly by text or do async work or work remotely, I don't think it's because it's not possible. I think it's just people that do not know how to communicate greatly. So I firmly believe it's possible.
Yeah,
With that said, sorry,
go ahead, go ahead.
I tend to talk a lot. This is why people pay me to be a developer advocate. So you can tell me to shut up sometimes if I cut you. I doing that, but that happened sometimes. Just want to learn a little more. So how long have you been doing the support engineering role now, like officially?
Oh, officially, I started yeah, started last month. Yeah, officially. Yeah.
Okay. So that, yeah, I know it was new, but I did not remember it was that new. So
Yeah.
how is it so far? How do you find the role?
I settling in was just me because now it became more professional since the company. So a new tool, some new tools were like I was onboarded to some new tools to like get things structured and everything. But other than that, it wasn't really a hassle per se. It was mostly me just settling in and still interacting with customers, interacting with engineering, and being like, oh, creating some tickets. We have to work on these things. People have some concerns about it. I feel like okay, improvements, features, all those things and stuff like that. So interacting between managing that interaction and flow between engineering and the customer base and users, and the users sometimes I sync with them or reach out in issues and like, okay, what do you need help with, we're able to set this up, or the attending to their complaints and stuff. And yeah, that's mostly it. Yeah.
Awesome. And if I, sorry, I'm going from one point to the other. It's just how my
No, no,
mind
no.
is working. But prior to that, you were like helping with developer relation stuff at a
Yeah.
company. Do you have any advices for people that may be new to developer relation and that would like to either like try to find a job or at least try to start to volunteer with like open source project and trying to help with developer relations so they can do like you've done, like building your experience, building your personal branding. So do you have any advices for people that would like to go to the same path as you?
Yeah, I would say to be a developer advocate or a DevRel, you need to first be a developer. And being a developer, you need to think like a developer. You need to understand how a developer works. You need to actually also find a way to make it such that you don't come off as being a sales guy, even though technically you might still be a sales guy. But like you need to find a way to interact with developers in such a way that you're able to get like a rapport sort of thing with them, that you're able to
Mhm.
properly convey information that you gather from them to engineering as well, and then from engineering back um to your users and everybody. So it's a very interesting role because it requires before, because the way I learned, I made mistakes, learned from my mistakes, and got to realize that it's so many things that makes up the dev advocacy thing. This community management, there's you speaking with engineering, there's you representing the brand out there, and there's you still holding down the forts and being like, oh and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's
Sorry.
it's a question. So yeah, of course, it's fine. So yeah, first be a developer. Secondly, know that you would be the bridge between engineering and the product. Most times you have to understand the product very well too, because it's kind of like your thing, right? Yeah, it's like when
Hmm.
people think of products, they most times think of the dev advocate or dev. The owner comes maybe, yeah, after the start of the dev, because dev probably like represents the brand out there in public, that is, and stuff. And I'd say, yeah, just be nice to people, I guess.
Yes, that is so important. I mean, like, for those of you that are not new to the show, I always call myself as a developer advocate. I always say, like, I'm the friendly, social, approachable, technical face of the company. And I always
Yeah,
start with friendly because, like, my job is to connect with human. I do this either in person, either online. If I'm being an asshole with people, that's not going to work. If
uh,
I'm lying, bullshitting people, sorry about the big word, but like if I'm like, my job is to be honest with people. My job is to help developer being successful.
exactly,
Hopefully, they're going to be successful with my product. But at the end of
exactly.
the day, like my product may not be a right fit for them. And
Mhm.
contrary to other type of role, I'm not going to force developer to use my product.
No,
That's going to
no,
like hurt even more the brand and the company and the product
yeah,
than just letting them go. And you
yeah,
never know that connection that you created, if like in maybe 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, maybe at that time like your product is going to be a good fit for them, or someone
yeah,
else at the company, or like a friends at another company. So you
yeah.
never know the type of impact you can have by just being nice with people, working with people, and trying to help them being successful.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I
I
agree
like
that.
that you shared a lot of wisdom for someone who did the role for not super long, and I love that.
Thank
I really love that. So you are probably really good at what you're doing, and you're probably still super good at what you're doing. So congratulations to Million for
thank you.
hiring Tubby. I think it was a great choice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So I'm curious because we say million GS since like the beginning of the show, and to be honest, the only thing I know about Million.js is the little I've tried to check to write the description of the show, because when I don't know technology my guest's gonna demo or talk about, I try not to learn about it because I want to be that newbie who you're
Yeah,
gonna talk to when you
that's
do the demo.
yeah.
So what I would like us to do right now is tell us a little more about Million, and like show us because I think the tagline is like you can run React component as fast as like pure JavaScript, and I want to see that. I want to understand that. So can you show us a little more about Million.js so we understand what it is?
Yeah, of course. So do I share my screen now or
Let's do that. Actually, it's as you want. Like you can just like talk about me under GS, but like obviously people, there's always a demo section on the show. It's not a
yeah?
demo that is always related to DevRel. It's basically any technology that could makes sense for developer, DevOps, GitOps people, something that we can learn because it's nice, you know, having a discussion with guests, talking about DevRel, their journey. It's nice, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also nice to like we spend time watching that show to end up with like a skill or something, a new knowledge
Yeah,
that we can apply technically at
yeah,
work. So
yeah, I
let's
agree.
do that. Show us a little more about Million.
Yeah, awesome. Million. So Million is uh it's a lot of things, but like I'm just going to like approach this from a perspective of not to overcomplicate things. So Million is a compiler, would I say, or an optimizer that basically you can add to your applications, your React app mostly, um, and then after adding Million to your application at runtime, Million can help based on some algorithm that it has to cut down on some trade-offs and some things that React has, some of React's flaws. Million can help make it such that your application renders faster and time to loading first content on your page and all those things is cut down drastically. So Million, yeah, I think that's the way to actually describe what Million does. So yeah, let's actually approach this. So yeah, make React 70% faster, and yeah, dropping up optimizing compiler, like I said. So you can add this compiler to most things that uses React underneath or is in the React ecosystem. So Next.js, React, Astro, um, the Remix, Vite, yeah, Million works with those things, and all you just have to do is add the compiler, and then have it set up. So a few companies that use Million in prod.
And
So
that is a bold statement. 70%. So
yeah, it's really bold because it was benchmarked actually. So there's actually something called there's an official benchmark uh, uh in the JavaScript ecosystem that is used to check um for performance of frameworks and everything. So Million technically is regarded as a framework. I don't know, like as a last year, it was kind of it's kind of you know weird because Million technically isn't a framework, but like the ecosystem, the JavaScript ecosystem
yeah.
recognizes Million to be a framework. I'm trying to like get this is it, the JS framework benchmark.
If you don't
You
have
know,
it, that's fine. It's just me. I was being a smart ass and said like, yeah, that's a bold statement, but
no, no,
I believe it.
I can just show it here. I think this is it. Yeah. So if we like look down the chart here, so I think it goes from so this the ones in front is like a
Can you
the
zoom a
hierarchy is
little
this,
bit?
yeah, the hierarchy is this way. So the farther in you the farther to the left, sorry, the farther to the left, the more optimal the thing or something, or should
Mhm.
I say thing, either framework or library. So yeah, you can see Million at this far end here, and can see more other frameworks or libraries that maybe probably do optimization and stuff. Solid, a framework, front end frameworks, Svelte. So there are many other frameworks there. But yeah, like I said, it goes this way. The chart goes this way. So the more closer to the left you are, the faster the framework or library.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to understand. So yeah, we can see here, like when it was benchmarked and calculated, um, it actually got to be 70% faster that we saw Million in than where's React. You actually like way down here or something on the charts. I don't know if I can find it. React. It's probably like uh, down here in the charts somewhere. So I think React should be somewhere here. There's React
Yeah, I
classes
think
here,
yeah,
but
we have
yeah,
RxJS. Yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, I can share this in the chat too for people that want to check that out. But yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah that was by the way. I digress. But yeah, React at the speed of raw.js. So what is Million.js? It's a block virtual DOM. Um, so there's something called a block DOM that Million builds upon. So a block DOM is like a different paradigm of virtual DOMs because in React, there's something called there's a concept called virtual DOMs that React kind of uses to track differences in your applications. So when you make an update in your application, React uses the virtual DOM to track that change, updates it before eventually painting it to your browser. So Million uses a different paradigm of virtual DOM, and it's called a block virtual DOM. Like it's a very popular open source project. I mean, it's one of the yeah open source projects that was out there for like a different paradigm to virtual DOMs. But Amelia was built around this to create support for React and some other frameworks and stuff. So yeah, it has a supercharged compiler. Like it says, it's a supercharged compiler that you can add to your React app. It runs it has server it runs client side mostly, but like your build tool of your choice, just add it and it does its work as runtime. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah, exactly. We use something called automatic mode that you just toggle on, and yeah, it just gets it working in your application. So you don't have to manually figure out, okay, where do I need to add this to make this optimizations. Just the compiler just is smart enough to figure it out for you, so you don't need to do all that work. So yeah, I don't know. Like so far, what do you think so far?
I mean, now you told me what it is. Now I would like to see it a little bit in action, like to really like understand the power.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, like in action. So I we went through the home page to talk about what Million is and feel the aura of what it's like. So actually, let's start. We're going to test it out and see it in action. Yeah. So the way it typically runs, you have to install it in your React app of your in your application using any of the package managers or something. We also have like a CLI you can run. So you
Mhm.
run it and it sets up Million automatically for you in your app and you get it working. So yeah, let me just show the demo app I already have here. So I'm not going to dive right into this. So I'm going to omit Million for starters so that we can run the application normally without Million and then see it. So moving this guy, uh, this guy is going to go. So sorry for users out there. I kind of like set this up prior to the show, but I'm just going to run this without Million and then run it with Million to see so that we see what happens. So closing this, so this is a normal application that you can. Sorry, I hope I didn't delete. Um, yes, yeah. So I'm just going to run this here, and so npm run dev. So this is a React application that I create, a Next.js application
Mhm.
with pages router that I created, and uh specifically for this. So I set it up as a demo app that I was going to use here for today's show. So I'm just going to go to it. So yeah, we load it up. I'm trying to load up the app. So it's loading. Oh yeah, it says it's compiling.
It's compiling.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a normal React app with pages router. I have some assets here. The code base is here. Several components, several React components, and everything. Uh, all written, all pre-written before because I wasn't going to actually build a React app from scratch. I don't know. I don't know. Is this cool? Like, or what do you think?
Yeah. Okay.
Is
Cool. 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 Cool.
Yeah, so awesome. So this is what the application looks like normally. It runs next year's page router. It has a form, can sign in or log in. So I actually had this application built somewhat before, but for a certain use case. But I felt it would be a good
Yeah.
it's a good use case to demo Blender because most people like to see it used in real world applications so that it feels much more
Yeah. I
original.
agree. I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
As,
exactly. So
as much as I
yeah,
love those to do application that everybody's using to demo stuff, it's nice to also see other real case scenarios. So,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I'm just going to show this real quick. So we're going to be working with this page mostly, but you'd actually see it in action in several parts of the application. So so yeah, back to the docs. So installation is pretty straightforward. You run your CLI, it sets it up for you, and then based on whatever stack you are using, Next.js, Astro, Gatsby, whatever, you would have to your
mm,
config would match anything that happens here. So basically, all you are doing is you are getting the compiler because when you install Million, you are technically installing the library Million as a library. So and it comes into a compiler, like that's the way it works. Like you are bringing the compiler into your code base. So you bring the compiler and then you just add the compiler to your config so that at runtime, it basically does the optimizations that it needs to do and then renders to your website. So that's basically the flow to to break it down. And
yeah.
yeah, so since we're using Next.js, I already installed it, so you can probably confirm that. Can confirm that from here.
Hmm.
See Million
Yeah.
installed.
Zero. Three
Yeah,
zero
so
six.
yeah, exactly. Latest version 3.0.6 because yeah, we had like a huge V3 launch a couple of months back, and we stabilized Million basically. So yeah, really excited for yeah, really excited to be demoing V3 and on the DevRel show. So yeah, now that we have that set up, we're not using app router. For those of you that are Next.js fans, you probably know that with Next.js can use app router or pages router. But for this application, I'm using pages router. So yeah, I'm not going to be using yeah, so because with app router, like Million works client side, you probably need to specify for some of your for those parts of the applications where it will be touching that okay, this is a client side file and you should only optimize this, and stuff like that. So yeah, before it renders the server side and stuff. So yeah, but since we are working with like pages router, we're mostly doing like client side things by default. So we're working with this kind of config. So I have Million installed already. I go to my config. So in my config, all I have to do is to import the compiler, and this is the way to import it. So by default, your Next.js config is probably in JS, but you can leave it as CJS and follow the syntax to something require like this, or you can just import it normally and change the file format to MJS so that you can use this yeah, modern JS so that you can use this syntax to import. So we import Million compiler like that, and then we have to add it to our application. So we can see our next config being here. We have some things here that I specified for my next app, a couple of API endpoints that I'm fetching images from in my application.
Hmm.
Uh, Next config. So now I create the Million config because the Million compiler has like its own options to actually specify okay what things do you want. It's kind of like you're tweaking the Million compiler to match your certain use. So yeah, so there are like these config options, mostly booleans, to like say okay true false. The DX is so straightforward because all you have to learn like okay what does this boolean do and in what cases do I need this and stuff like that. So in this
So
app
I
I do yeah.
sorry, I assume like this is because you wanted to configure stuff, but like I could just not do the million config and then we use default value, I guess.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So now, but because of this, I was mostly, I think I made this as a repro for somebody. I was trying to test some config options, but by default, you really don't need any config other than auto true, because auto true sets something called automatic mode in Million. Um, if you've been following Million for a while, or since I'm demoing it for the first time, I should have mentioned that Million has something called manual mode. And manual mode, we import this function called block. So block is a one-liner function that we import for a Million, and then you wrap your React components with it. So basically, what the automatic mode is doing by like the compiler figuring stuff out, manual mode does it too. But the way it does it is you have to wrap this your components with this function, just a single function, and it still does the Million magic that it does. But DX and everything made us improve to and advance to automatic mode, where we actually now allow users to just use one boolean to turn automatic mode on, and like, but yeah, don't worry, you don't need to manually write block all the time. We'll help
Okay.
you figure out where you need Million and stuff like that. Yeah, so auto true comes like is what is really all you need for like to set it up and see what's actually happening and stuff. And now I'm going to wrap my config, because this is my next config. The way the Million the next config works is that you still need to export the configuration so that your application sees it, and it knows what configurations you've added to your app. So it's like a normal next JS thing. But for us to actually now bring Million into the picture, we need to now call Million here. So we'll call Million.next, since we're in Next.js. We have like Million.vit, Million.webpack. So there are like several other for different build tools and stuff. So we just call Million.next like this. And we add the next config and the Million config. So two arguments, just like this. So we've added both arguments to the next Million next compiler. So at runtime, this is going to run. It will track those parts of our application that needs to be optimized, and then Million will do its magic. I don't know so far. Like, what do you think, Fred?
I mean, it looks simple. Now I want to see it running. I want to
Yeah,
see, now that you put your configuration. I want to see the compiling and see it running live. See how it goes.
yeah, exactly. So now I'm just going to hit this button. I wrote npm run dev to run. So let's run and see what happens. So tracking. So we just watch this terminal and we see what happens. So it's running. So let me just go back to the browser. Yeah, that tab. So yeah, ready in 4.3. So let's refresh. Yeah, it's refreshing. So now you can see it has loaded Million at runtime. So we can see Million in the terminal, Million 3.0.6. Now, because we are using automatic mode, Million automatically goes to those parts of your apps that needs Million. So a caveat is not every part of your application that needs Million, um, because some parts of your application already render well enough to not throw your
Mhm.
application off balance. So Million, which was one of the reasons why we had manual mode before, because in manual mode you could use that block function to go to parts of your app where things were not really rendering properly, and you could or I mean fast enough, rather, were not optimal. You could wrap them with block. But with automatic mode, you don't really need to worry about stuff that much, because as you've done auto true, it will go to those parts of your app that, okay, this part needs to render faster. I think I can improve this. So the compiler does that, like, with just one option.
Uh,
You get all the superpower right there, right? Like, immediately. So now it does. So now we can see from our terminal message, and we can see like this. Yeah, it's running like normally with no issues. So what's going on? Yeah, it runs normally with no issues, and we still get the normal login to your profile that we should have on our browser. You know, something. What's going
That's the beauty of live demo.
on?
It was
Yeah.
working on my machine before.
Yes. God. Let me just kill the server and restart now. Let's see what happens. So that's kind of weird. Well, yes. So let's restart. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's I don't know if it's related because I don't know the technology yet, but like you had a lot of things that were uncommented before at the end
Yeah,
of that file
yeah,
that you commented, so maybe it's related.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, at certain times we need to enable some config options to tell the compiler to do certain things, and yeah, by default I had all of them enable, some of them enabled and some set to false, because some throw the
Yeah,
compiler
but
off.
if you scroll down, like after you scroll down here, not in the sorry in the MGS file, yeah, you
Oh,
had that export next
you know,
config. Yeah.
oh, these don't have any effect, don't have any effect, so it works fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, it's working
yeah,
now.
yeah. Just yeah, live demo, the
It
live
is.
demo.
It is a thing, but let me tell you, you did well. I've seen a lot of people panic on the stage. I panicked on the stage when it happens to me when I started to do public speaking.
Yeah,
It's always the wrong thing to do, but it's always the end thing to panic. Should
yeah,
happen, and you know what? Like even if it wouldn't have worked, it's not the end of the world. People understand those kind of things. So.
yeah. Thank you very much, by the way. And yeah, so the live demo course almost got me, but I scaled through.
You're good now. You're good now. You're back on track.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, so now we can see from the terminal that we're getting like feedback. So we did this thing where like you get like an info thing in your terminal that tells you, oh okay, we Million ran. So basically what the story we are telling in your terminal is that Million ran, and it worked. So we see that it loaded at runtime. But now this is where the things that we're able to do for you. So we're able to optimize footer by this percentage. Footer is a component in your React app. We should be able to find footer in I think in components. Yeah, layout. Yeah, footer. So we can see footer.tsx here. So footer was optimized. The footer components. Let me drag this down so you can see that. So it says the footer component was optimized by 71%. Live stream icon is another component that would exist somewhere in the app. Stream pass. So like several of those components like that, it was able to like make optimizations for them. And at the end, we are yeah, exactly, and and some other components as well within your application that it went through your entire code base, checked the parts as your application was at runtime, checked those components that needed that. Okay, this one is kind of a bit suboptimal. I think the million compiler could make some things much faster here, and you grab them, made the optimizations underneath the block and everything, and we are giving a report of how much faster we're able to make that component for you, so to render on your UI and stuff like that. And we also generate a wrapped video for you. So wrapped is like if you were like following the trend of GitHub wrapped, where people were at the end of last year or something, people were like doing GitHub wrapped for like a video thing that they generate for themselves. Like, okay, yeah, I had this much contribution in an entire year or something like that. So yeah, so at the end of you actually making the optimizations you have, we generate a video for you, like a wrapped video to tell you, okay, these were the optimizations that you got after adding Million to your application. You can customize the video, post, copy, or download. So I actually want the video to finish loading so we can play it and see what happens. I didn't know. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, I
That's
will
great.
wait.
And
Yeah,
and by the way, while it's loading, there is Rizal. I remember your name.
yeah.
Rizal said you did good. I assume it was 2 3 minutes ago, so I assume because of like the demo god were not with you, but you did great. So she agreed with me. You did great.
Thank you, Rizzo. I really appreciate that. So the video is loading. So it generates like a wrapped video for you that tells you how much applications renders faster. I don't know what's going on. Uh, let's see. Oh, so something happened with the server, and so because this is being fetched from a server, like we're using like remotion on the and or from a server somewhere. We send the data of
Mhm.
the mathematications that have been made, and then we generate the random video for you. So I'm guessing somewhere in between the server something happened, but this doesn't
Techno-
happen often.
Technology is hard, so those
Yeah,
things those things happen. Uh, no, I think it's fun. I love like every tool that helps you to optimize
yeah,
whatever. Like I'm the kind of person I just did that. Like I was updating our docs today, and I optimize the SVG file. Like I run like SVGO on a command line.
mhm,
I optimize the SVG file to save like
yeah,
2% or maybe 10% of some files
yeah,
that were already super small because like their SVG is just text, it's not images.
mhm,
So I
yeah,
like to optimize everything. So I'm definitely like at Cube first, our product is Kubernetes centric, but we have that beautiful management console that helps you to manage
mhm,
your clusters,
yeah,
which
exactly.
is written in React. So I
Hmm.
will definitely talk to the engineering team and say like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should try Million and like try to optimize their stuff. That could be great.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good, and yeah, thank you very much for the support there. And I'm definitely sure your engineering team would see the value in using it in the application because I mean mostly for like you said, it's an application where like they can manage clusters and stuff like that. So it's probably like an admin kind of thing where they have several components rendering at the same time or something like that. So maybe some of them slow down due to
Yeah,
maybe stuff like that and stuff, and they have to depend on something else to before they are loaded. With some automations that Million could provide, I'm sure, yeah, they'll definitely see like faster renders in some aspects. Maybe with charts if they have charts, or if they have uh just general components and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's definitely going to be.
that's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Thanks for demonstrating Million.js. So are we saying Million.js or are we saying Million or how do we call that tool?
Yeah, so it's called Million. Million is the name actually, but like yeah, I think it's called, yeah, we call it Million now, but like the reason why the Million.js name is something that most people still address it as is because of the this one I just showed you now. So this one technically is Million.js because it's a React library, a React JavaScript library that optimizes your app. But because now it's morphed into us having several other products under the Million name, so we just call it Million.
Okay,
And
okay.
yeah, but yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, so that was a very quick demo to showcase Million.js, or yeah, the Million compiler in action. And yeah, I was able to. There are so many other options you can use to actually customize your automatic modes. One, I showed a proof of concept in the config that I showed here with these options that I commented out.
mhm.
But you can also still look through the docs to find out how you can customize automatic mode for yourself. You can actually skip some components in your application that you feel maybe are breaking or don't need the optimizations. You can set a threshold. Threshold is a value we use to um to kind of like control the optimization. So if you want a lot of optimizations, you reduce the value of the threshold. The basically the higher the value of the threshold. So it goes from 0 to 1. The higher the value, the lesser the optimizations you get. So yeah, that's how those are some other things you can actually do in your applications and your application rather. So yeah, so many things to play with and customize and adapt to your taste basically. Yeah.
That's that's awesome. So I invite everybody that wants to try Million, go to million.dev. And if you need any help, now you know a support engineers who's going to be amazing, is going to be able to help you. So again, thanks a lot for the demo. Thanks for being on the show too. That was amazing talking to you a little more about your journey, a little more about your vision about DevRel, learning, as I said, about Million. So, on that note, before we end the show, do you have anything else you would like to share with the viewers, the listeners?
Uh, yes, I would. Yeah, I would say check out the DevRel show. Subscribe to Fred's channel on YouTube. follow him on Twitch and everything, and show him all, give him all the support that he needs, and let's let's make the DevRel show trend online. And yeah, also check out Million Links. Million Links is a product we have. So it's like a linter for your applications that uses AI to help you check your applications, figure out parts of your applications that need optimizations, and it tells you what to actually do in pure React, not Million now. So it tells you in React that okay, these are some things you can do to actually make your React components better to improve optimization. So yeah, Million Links, check that out. Follow Fred on Twitter, subscribe to his channel, and yeah, let's give him all the support.
Yeah, thanks. And comment from a usual viewer. I was going to say a fan. I don't know if you're a fan, but like, thanks for the show. It's always a pleasure watching. Thanks for watching the show. And I need to say, Toby, we reached a new milestone today. I don't think if you see the number of viewers when you're a guest on the show, I'm not sure, but we nearly have 100 viewers live. So we had at the peak 94 viewers, which is a new milestone for the show. The show is still kind of new. It's the 14th episode, but like it's growing in terms of like having people live. As I told you before we started the show, sometimes like we got a lot of comments and questions. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's a little less. So it doesn't matter the number of people listening online. It's just like, yeah, that happened. With that said, it's always available on YouTube after. So right now, when the show is running, you can watch
yeah,
on YouTube, LinkedIn, on Twitch, and on Twitter. With most people usually watching on Twitter, but the show is available on YouTube after, so people can watch the recording. So on that note, thanks again, Tobiloba, to be on the show, to be a guest. That was a pleasure again talking with you. And for the folks watching live or watching the recording, also thanks a lot for being part of the show. Uh, two, three things before I let you go. The first one, thanks to our sponsors, Cube First, which is my employer, and they're really nice to let me do the show during my working hours. Let me use their StreamYard account, which makes me save some money. And it's just a nice company to work with a nice product. So if you are in the cloud native space, try Cube First. It's free, it's open source. That's going to help you to create production ready GitOps management clusters. If you want to be a guest on the show, please ping me on Twitter, LinkedIn, send me an email, comments during a live show. I'm always looking for new people. I have the next 2, maybe 3 months already booked with guests, but the sooner you tell me, you give me your name, the better. And the easier, the earlier we're going to be able to schedule you. Again, that show would be terribly dull if it was just me. It's all about the guests. It's all about the amazing people in the show. So please, if you're in developer relations space, even if your title is not specifically developer advocate, let me know. And yes, you are totally right. We need the Orv1. I never know how to say his social account, but we need John, my good friend John. We used to be developer advocate at Fitbit with me. Obviously, yes, I would like to have my dear brother John on the show. So on that note, thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Toby. And I wish you a good rest of the day. And we're gonna go back to the normal schedule. So the next show is gonna be in 2 weeks. So in two Thursday. So have a good rest of the morning, evening, afternoon, night, depending where you're from. And thanks again for joining. Bye, everyone.